Imagine it's 2 a.m., and the blue light from your phone screen is the only thing illuminating your cramped apartment. You just scrolled past a 15-second video of someone your age sipping coffee on a balcony in Paris, or perhaps driving a car that you know you'd have to work for 20 years without eating or drinking, just to touch. Then you switch tabs and open your banking app. The number that appears is cruel, cold, and incredibly real. It's not enough for Paris. It's barely enough for next month's rent if you happen to get sick or your bike breaks down. In that moment, your chest tightens. Not because you're starving, not because you're in mortal danger, but because a massive dissonance is tearing your mind apart. The gap between the self you think you deserve to be and the reality of who you actually are. We call that the luxury of a dream beyond your balance. And today, we are not going to speak empty platitudes about believing and trying hard. We're going to dissect the psychology of this modern poverty. Why do you suffer over things you never had, and how do you escape that trap without having to lie to yourself? Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. You are not suffering because you are poor. You are suffering because you think you should have been rich. In human history, poverty used to be the default. Our grandparents worried about food and clothing. But our generation, Gen Z, or those flailing in a quarter-life crisis, we face a different kind of poverty, status poverty. Social media has sold you an extremely toxic idea that a normal life is a failure, that if you don't start a business at 20 or achieve financial freedom by 30, you are obsolete. You consume images of overnight success more than the calories you put into your body every day. And your brain, which hasn't evolved fast enough to filter that information, starts to believe that is the standard. When the standard is pushed too high, your reality, even with food and shelter, suddenly becomes wretched and unacceptable. You start constructing a fantasy self. This self needs luxury items to sustain its existence. That is why you see people earning $7 million but willing to finance a $30 million phone. They're not buying the phone. They're buying a ticket to role-play that fantasy self, even if just for a few minutes taking a mirror selfie. It is a painkiller. When you swipe the card, dopamine hits the brain, soothing the anxiety about your own mediocrity. But like any painkiller, when it wears off, the pain returns, and this time it's worse because of the side effect, debt. We need to look at the dream through a harsher lens. Sometimes a dream is not motivation. A dream is an escape. You dream of being a famous content creator, a CEO, or a digital nomad. But look at your actual behavior in the last 24 hours. How many hours did you spend sharpening your skills, and how many hours did you spend fantasizing about the outcome? There's a concept in behavioral psychology. When you talk about your plans or fantasize too specifically about success, the brain releases a sense of satisfaction as if you have already achieved it. And thus, you lose the drive to do the boring, difficult work actually required to reach the goal. Your luxurious dream is seducing you to sleep, paralyzing you right at the starting line. Your balance is low, but your ambition is sky high. This discrepancy creates misery. A Stoic would say you have two ways to become wealthy. One is to make more money. Two is to desire less. The first way depends on the market, luck, and long-term effort. The second way depends entirely on you, right in this moment. Don't misunderstand. We are not telling you to live ascetically or give up on your dreams. We are talking about repricing your desires. What do you want that luxury car for? For commuting or for others to look at you with admiration? If it's for commuting, a used car does the job just fine. If it's for admiration, then you are handing the control of your happiness to strangers, people who don't even care who you are. That is a losing investment. Let's talk about true luxury in the 21st century. Luxury is not a Hermes bag or a Rolex watch. Luxury is the ability to say no. Saying no to a toxic job because you have an emergency fund. Saying no to meaningless gatherings because you don't fear missing out, FOMO. Saying no to pretending you are rich. When your balance is low, you don't have the option. You are forced to say yes to every demand, every humiliation, every pressure. So, instead of dreaming about jewelry to drape over your body, dream about freedom. This freedom is bought with discipline, not with a credit card. Look straight at your bank statement. That is the naked truth of your life right now. Don't hide from it. Don't say, "I'm not good with numbers." If you don't control these numbers, they will control your life. You need to start a detox process. Detox from the flex culture lifestyle. Step 1. Accept your current mediocrity. It sounds painful, but it is liberation. When you admit, "I am poor, I am not skilled yet, and I need time," you remove a 1,000-pound weight from your shoulders. You no longer have to perform. You are allowed to start from 0 instead of trying to maintain an image of a 10 when your reality is negative. Imagine you were building a house. Most people try to paint the walls and buy nice furniture while the foundation is sinking. We want you to go down to the basement, get covered in mud, and reinforce that foundation. It's dark, damp, and no one sees it to praise you. Hard work in the shadows. It is those nights you refuse to go to the bar, to stay home and learn a new skill on YouTube. It is those times you cook at home and bring lunch to work, ignoring colleagues inviting you to order expensive takeout. That is not being stingy. That is strategy. You are buying back freedom for your future. There is another brutal truth that Jordan Peterson often mentions. Life is suffering. Do you choose the suffering of discipline or the suffering of regret? The suffering of discipline has meaning. It leads you somewhere. The suffering of overspending and living a fake life is just a meaningless loop. It's like a hamster on a wheel. The faster you run, the more exhausted you get, but you go nowhere. My friends, be careful what you wish for. We often want success, but we don't want the price of success. You want muscles, but don't want the pain at the gym. You want money, but don't want the risk or the boredom of accumulation. A dream beyond your balance isn't bad if it serves as a lighthouse for you to aim at, but it becomes a disaster if you use it as the standard to judge your self-worth right now. Do not let your bank balance define your dignity, but let it dictate your spending behavior. The realization we want you to reach today is be ruthless with your delusions. Cut off the necrotic flesh of vanity. Shrink your life to fit reality, then slowly expand it with real capability, not with financial leverage. Try a small exercise this week. Next time you are about to buy something just to reward yourself for being sad, stop. Ask yourself, am I buying this item or am I buying comfort? If you need comfort, go for a walk, exercise, talk to a real friend. Those things are free and much more effective. Let the balance in your account grow, even just a little each month. The feeling of seeing that number tick up brings a different kind of dopamine. The dopamine of security, the dopamine of control. Don't be a slave to luxurious dreams. Be the master of naked reality. Because at the end of the day, when the phone screen goes black and the room returns to darkness, it's just you and your thoughts. Make sure you can sleep soundly with those thoughts, rather than tossing and turning in fear of tomorrow's bills. The most beautiful dream is not the dream of wealth. It is the sleep sound of a free mind. Thank you for listening. We hope you find your own balance.